What's up? What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back to the Les Alex podcast, the 21st episode. I was looking at the wrong camera. The 21st episode of the podcast. If you're listening to this live or watching this live, thank you. Make sure to smash that like button. And if you're listening to this on the podcast apps, I appreciate you. Thank you for listening, and make sure to give us a 5-star review on all the podcast apps. That's the best way to help support the content over there. And of course, if you're watching this after the fact, you're new here, hit that subscribe button. And I'm coming out with new videos almost every single day about sports and sports cards. Today, I am joined by Milone Money Mindset. What's up?
What is good, Alex? Appreciate you having me on. I'm
Absolutely.
honored to be here. Excited about tonight, and yeah, it's great to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am excited as well. We are going to be digging in. You are taking a little bit of a different angle into the hobby. Your background is personal finance and also the stock market. So a very, very awesome angle, like I said, on the hobby. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking a little bit about football because that's kind of your expertise, but also baseball. Yep. And then towards the end of the stream, end of the podcast, we are going to be taking some questions from the viewers. So if you guys are watching now and you want to engage with us, make sure to start thinking about those questions right now. I'm really excited, man. You've been doing great stuff. I've been checking out your content.
Appreciate that. Really appreciate that. Always enjoy your stuff.
Yeah, man. Oh, I appreciate it. I'm just, doing my thing, I guess. But you've been collabing with a lot of people too, and so I definitely wanted to get you on the show and this is kind of like an introduction, if you will. If you guys haven't ever, seen his channel, make sure to go subscribe to him. Just search up Milone Money Mindset, and you guys will find him. And after the fact, I will put all of your links and stuff in the description. And if you're listening to this on the podcast, it'll already be there. But yeah, let's dig in. Let's not waste any more time. So for those of the folks out there that have never seen a piece of your content, could you just kind of explain what your channel is all about and what your podcast is all about, and take it away, man?
Yeah, so I started my channel last September, meaning a year from this September. So 2019 is when my first upload was.
Yeah, one.
And at that time, it was strictly stocks and finance, but I kind of didn't want to limit myself. That's why I kind of made it Milone Money Mindset, all about kind of just the mindset, how to make money, how to kind of hustle and do what you can to make that extra grind. So what started out with stocks kind of transitioned into sports cards as I went on, but with the stock content, I've always had a passion for investing. I started investing at a fairly young age. Around 18, 19, I opened up a small Robinhood account. And then I, went to college for finance and business to kind of learn more and kind of just, be able to advance my skills in that area. So I always thought, hey, like I always enjoy consuming content from the investment side and from the YouTube side. So I thought, hey, let's give it a shot, make some videos. So that's what I kind of started out doing. And then this past June, I think I made my first sports card update and video. So I've been kind of adding on the side, and I was like, all right, can I really start to maybe leverage what I've been buying into some videos? And that's kind of what I went about doing, because I was just having a blast doing it and just talking sports and sports cards, something I love. So that's kind of when I made the transition into doing both the stocks and the sports cards.
Absolutely, yeah. That's kind of how I was too, man. I was doing some different kind of content, and then one day I just recorded me opening a mail day. It's basically a mail day.
Yeah.
And the quality was terrible, but it like you said, man, it's fun. Yeah. And I think I know that people get value out of your content, especially because of the unique angle that you're coming from. You do live streams for both sports cards. You do one of those one night a week, and then you also do a stock actual stock market.
A little bit more on that. So
go for it.
The Thursday one just kind of happened out of the blue. So Dustin over at the Personal Finance Dad,
absolutely,
he reached out to me maybe a month or so ago. He's like, hey man, let's collab, especially because he kind of wanted to start talking a little bit more about the finance and investing side. So hey, it'd be cool if we can kind of work together, do a collab. I'm like, hey, that'd be fun. So I had him on my
Absolutely.
channel maybe a month or so, a half ago. And it kind of starting at then. I'm like, hey, let's start having some other guests on. So I did have Mitch on from the what's his channel? I'm blanking right now, but Mitch and Bird. That's who's who's Mitch and Bird? They're over at
Oh,
I'm not blanking.
I'm not familiar. I'm sorry.
Oh, Bouchard. The one you
Oh,
just
Mitch
had.
and Bird. Yeah, Red
Yeah.
Cape Sports. Sorry.
Yes, yeah. So I had them on. I had some other channels on as well. So it's
Oh,
kind of
nice.
just kick back Thursday night stream, talk about some sports cards, talk about what's going on in the hobby, what's going on in the investing side of it. And then Sundays, I do like an investing live stream where my viewers will come in and they'll submit a stock pick for the week. So depending on how many picks we get, sometimes we get 15, sometimes we get 25. And
Yeah.
then I'll kind of keep track of them throughout the week and just see which one had the best performance out of the week. And it started out just being like, okay, I tracked it. I saw what had the highest return. And I
Right.
kind of shared on my community tab and saying like, oh, hey, congrats to so-and-so on having the best pick. And then at one point I started looking at the list. I'm like, oh crap, some of these are like doing really well. In the course of the week, they're up like 35%. I'm like,
Wow.
all right. Yeah. So the first time I decided to do a video on the individual stock that had the best return that week, I kind of just broke down what led to that return and kind of gave my thoughts on it. And that video shot up in views. Like considerably, I don't get like too many views, but that video had like 1,700 views. So it was because it's like
Nice.
trending. So because it's more like relevant for that week. So that's what I've been doing with the live stream. So anytime the best pick, I'll make a video kind of explaining what led to that going up, and then kind of just giving a shout out to that channel as well. So those are kind of the two streams I've been running of late.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I've watched them both after the fact. That's a really cool thing too. To like, that's a good way to like build community too. Is like
Yep.
have your viewers come in, have them chat with you, and like let them pick what they want to check
Yeah.
out. I think you might be onto something there, and I think you could even use that with sports cards if you wanted.
Yeah, like I was thinking about that too. Come in, give your stock card pick of the week. The one thing about that, I feel like it'd be hard to track, but with like a market movers, it'd make it a little bit easier.
Yeah,
To
if you
kinda
had card
pinpoint what
ladder or market movers,
yeah,
yeah. No, yeah, for sure. I know there's a couple of there's one guy. Oh my God, I'm blanking on his name. I feel terrible because I watch his content all the time. But he did like during the bubble, like during the NBA bubble, he did a like 5 cards and he like marked them out on Google Sheets every single week, and he got like an average every single Friday. He would like map it out, and then at the
yeah.
end of the
Just to get
bubble,
the best returns.
yeah. So that was kind of cool to see.
That is cool.
And yeah, man, that's awesome though. I think that's pretty. I don't think anybody else is doing that either. So that might be definitely an opportunity for you to like make some, original. It's hard to like make perfectly original content on YouTube because everybody's kind of, dipping their fingers in here and there. But that would be something that I don't think a lot of
I've
people
done a
are doing.
giveaway for one as well. Actually, like someone wanted to do a sponsor giveaway. He's like, hey, like I'll give you $25
There you
because
go.
I just enjoy hanging out. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I gave a $25 gift card to the top performing pick. So it's really cool. I've thought about
That's
some
awesome.
ways to expand it, but I haven't really rolled anything out yet. But I think there is some songs I can kind of test out with it.
Absolutely. And so when do you do both of those? You do the stock market one on Sundays and the
Sunday
sports
nights.
on Thursdays, right?
Yeah, Thursday, Wednesday, whenever I can kind of get someone on. Just
Right on. Awesome. So, obviously you have the background in stock market, but what have you noticed any parallels between the two? Like obviously you can look at a graph for Amazon stock and you can look at a graph for Joe Burrow, and obviously there's points on a graph, obviously, but like do those strategies from investing in companies actually transition over to investing in people? Does that actually?
I think there's a lot of similarities between the two markets and between players if you're going to compare a player to a particular stock. So just from a market standpoint, volatility is definitely present in both markets. And what's interesting between the two markets with sports cards, of course they're not always going to go up, and we're kind of starting to see that with these come down in prices, but it's very seasonal. I mean, after baseball's been over, we're seeing a dip. After basketball's been over, we saw a dip. And that's the same thing that happens in some stocks. Like you have, like a retail stock, like maybe a Best Buy that's going to get it spikes during the holiday
Holidays.
season.
Yeah.
So something similar to that. That's a very kind of a comparison between the two. And then one that's a little bit more obscure that I've been thinking of is kind of tied to like when a stock has earnings coming up. So for instance, I'm just going to throw Apple out for an example.
Sure.
So say Apple has a projected earnings of say $3 per share coming up. And at this point, a lot of analysts are like, okay, Apple's going to absolutely destroy earnings. So now they're starting to trend up 15, 20% just per se. So what really comes down to the fact is if Apple beats earnings, you're really not going to get much of a jump. If they meet earnings, you might go down, you might stay flat, but if they miss earnings, you're going to get completely crushed. And I kind of bring this up is because there's a player that I wanted to go heavily into on football, which was Calvin Ridley. So I'm big into fantasy football, and Calvin Ridley, a guy I drafted in 2 out of my 3 leagues, and I wanted to buy up his cards. But looking at his prices, I'm seeing like these are just too expensive before the start of the season. I think a lot of people are extremely bullish on him. And what I was thinking is like, okay, there's only one really good outcome. He could be the top guy, and then his cards might get a little bit of jump. If he doesn't reach that top 5, top 10, I think we could see a dip. If he has a really bad season, it's going to tank. So I just thought the run up and the hype was just too much. And the upside was very limited because he had to really, really outperform where he was going. So I kind of look for guys that are kind of a little bit on that lower side, but I think the upside's still there. So kind of look for those hidden gems instead of buying too much into hype.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense, and I think that's actually something I've never really heard anyone explain in terms of like the stock market. So that was one thing too. I was like, yeah, they're similar in that you're like investing in them, but like, is there actually any, overlap? So that's interesting. That's really good for people, going either way. If people are coming from the sports card world and want to maybe dabble in the stock market and vice versa. So, I mean, that's good stuff. So right now though, are you mostly, so you brought up Ridley, are you mostly focused on football right now? Or, I mean, obviously it's football season and the baseball season just ended. But are you mostly focused on football, or are you kind of...
I got to say, the focus for me on football was before the season started. That's when I did most of my buying, and I pretty much flipped a good amount before the season started and a couple of weeks in. I have picked up a few football guys of late. The last few purchases I made on the football side were for Derek Carr, because I picked up one of his PSA 10 Topps Chrome at like 70, and I was able to flip it for like 110.
Nice.
And then his car prices came back down. I got a better price in my first buy, and I think I got this one at like 62. So I'm like, Derek Carr, I know Vegas Dave, he's so bullish on Derek Carr, but I like the entertainment value of being in Las Vegas. He's had some good games. I mean, you got Henry Ruggs there. So regardless if I flip him this year or not, I still like the entry for a starting quarterback, PSA 10 Chrome at that price. So he's a guy I've been buying. Not even buying. I bought one car when I'm saying buying, but I did pick up some Tuas as well, some ungraded Dahmer's Tuas, just because he's going to be starting this upcoming week. So I should be excited to see him go. And those are kind of my two guys right now. But my main focus has been basketball.
Nice.
The card price has been pretty down.
Yeah. So you said mostly basketball. This last year, man, it seemed like you could throw darts at a dartboard. It did not matter. You were making money.
Yeah.
Do you? And this is kind of a loaded question because nobody actually knows. But like, what do you think? What do you in terms of like gauging the market? Do you think that's going to happen next year, or was this just a flash in the pan because everybody was home? They had that, they had that stimulus check, or is it going to continue to go crazy next year?
Yeah, I think it was a perfect recipe. I mean,
it definitely
everyone was home. I mean, I live in the New York area, so I was limited at that time to what I could do. I mean, we weren't even allowed to really go out. We were ordering our food to be delivered to the house for our groceries. So I was just sitting at home on a Saturday night on eBay looking at cards, buying cards. So yeah, I mean, it really was the perfect recipe for that spike.
Yeah.
But I think we can get, even if we don't hit that ultimate high, I think there is still value for these cards to go up as the season starts, especially for some of these young, promising players, especially if you look at where like some of the elite players in the game are trading at, like a Kawhi Leonard. Like, I mean, LeBron's an anomaly, but his card prices are absolutely like crazy expensive. But I think Luka, if he comes back and he shows like even like the little bang up from the playoffs, if he's ready to go, I mean that guy's a triple double machine.
Right.
I mean, the playing with KP, you got Mark Cuban who's going to build a team around him. I'm really excited about him and a lot of these young players, and I think there's definitely a lot of potential for those cards going up. But again, it's tough because I am getting into the game as of now from the
Right.
investment side. But I've been a collector since I was a kid. But this is the first time I've really looked into the market and actually bought cards. So it is hard to say if this was like the year we're going to look back on in 20, 30 years, like, wow, what was going on in those past few months in that, that May to July, kind of thing.
I definitely think even if it doesn't reach the heights that it did this past year, these past 6 months, we're still going to, be riding the wave, a little bit. And the prices naturally, obviously, we were talking about this right before we went live, actually. The prices naturally drop in the off season. That's just how it's been forever, basically.
Yep.
I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. It's crazy though, because you could literally buy anybody and you were making money off of them. I don't think it's going to be that crazy this coming season.
Yeah.
But it'll be definitely pretty fun. It's crazy, man. Just Gary V talking about it. Yep. Now you got like rappers, and Giannis posted a video of all of his rookie RPAs
like
and
Paul
stuff.
Getting big into Pokemon too.
And now Pokemon's a whole nother beast. That's something that like, I mean, Pikachu and Charizard, like, let's go, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Cool. So basketball So my main thing, though, on my channel, and for those watching, they probably all know, baseball is that's my bread and butter. That's, that's what I love. Don't get me wrong, I love basketball. But in terms of the game that I know the most and the game that I care the most about is baseball, not close. And all my baseball videos typically do better than everything else, except for like the random basketball video here and there. But with all that being said, like this season was crazy.
It was.
We had teams shutting down. We had, guys getting injured, guys performing terribly, like Cody Bellinger. If you would have told me that Cody Bellinger and Christian Yelich were batting like under the Mendoza line for majority of the season, I'd have been like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
So this was a really weird season. I personally think, whether a player outperformed what you thought or immensely underperformed, don't get crazy. Don't like start selling all of your Cody Bellingers.
I agree, yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk about like who you're picking up in the off season and who you may have potentially already flipped.
Yeah, baseball, I'm with you. That's probably my favorite sport. I mean, me and my buddies are big Yankee fans. We went to a couple of the playoff games last year, and we just had an absolute blast. But I was investing very heavily into baseball cards before the start of the season. So a couple of guys that I did get some good flips on. Stanton, I bought one stand. I got two stands. I got two good flips on him. I bought Harper, got a good flip on that one.
Nice.
I got Tatis. I got two good flips on him. But what my main focus was the playoffs. And as a Yankee fan, I was like, come on, let's get to the World Series. And then my other side was with the Dodgers. So my guys I was buying was Cole. I was buying Judge, Torres. And then from the Dodger side, it was Buehler and Bellinger. And I was only able to flip the Buehlers. I didn't even look to sell any of the Yankee cards because they just got booted pretty early. So, I mean, I saw those cards going down. I'm like, hey, I'm not going to, take a little bit of a loss. I'll just wait till next season. But the Buehlers, some of them went up. I only bought 4. 2 of them are kind of probably going to sell. But right now we're just watching them. But the Bellingers didn't do much at all. Like they haven't jumped all at price, which is pretty wild. But I mean, he had that monster home run against Atlanta in Game 7. But besides that, he pretty much had a pretty quiet World Series besides dislocating his shoulder. That was like the biggest news came out of his camp. But I think if he had a really good World Series like we saw from Betts and we saw from Seager, his card prices probably would have got that jump as well, but definitely did not transpire that way.
Yeah, I definitely think for Bellinger, like I said, that guy he's a great player. He's an MVP. He's a world champion now.
Yeah.
That guy, I think maybe not yet, and it'll be interesting too to see when exactly for baseball you should start buying, like when the bottom of the barrel is. Because I personally believe, since we have so many more people in the hobby right now, everybody's going to want to be ahead of the curve. Yep. So I personally believe, and you can tell me if you agree or disagree, it's going to be earlier than normal. Like I could see maybe even the end of November, early December, the card prices for some of these great players start to tick up. And I'm definitely looking at guys that underperformed, like Bellinger, like Yelich, those kind of guys.
Yeah.
And then also guys that were kind of like injured, right? So maybe Verlander.
Yeah.
And guys like that as potential investments. And then obviously Mookie Betts, I think if you can get him if you can get that guy for like under 200 for his PSA 10 or like right at 200, that card almost reached $500 in the regular season. Man. So if there's any sort of market memory at all, I think that's just like an instant pickup if you can find it.
Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying. I think it's starting a little bit earlier. So this right here is a guy who definitely had a little bit of
there we go. Big Meat Pete, baby.
So I have two of these.
Nice.
And both of them I got pretty under what his peak was. So I think this card was consistently around 100 and at times over 100. But, you know, at times they're on 70, 80 bucks.
Yeah.
So I got one at 65 and I got one at 40.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, how much did this really drop? And I was looking at an auction, I think yesterday or a day ago.
It's not pretty.
It sold at 35.
Yeah.
So it's really not that low. It's pretty much, I think that's what you're gonna get at the bottom for that. So
yeah,
I think people are gonna start getting into them pretty quick.
Yeah. So that's another guy too, Pete Alonso. I actually just made a video like 5 players that underperformed to pick up. And Pete Alonso was like, if it would have been a top 10 list, he would have definitely been on it. Mm-hmm. He had an interview recently, like towards the end of the regular season, where they're like, "Hey man, what?" Like basically, I guess the reporter was like, "What's going on this year?" And he was like, "Look, man, I have the highest hard hit ball percentage in baseball. Yeah. I'm just getting unlucky because I'm hitting them at people." Yeah. So I think, you know, people were kind of burnt out on him, and I had people like messaging me and telling me, how in the world could you suggest this guy? Because he's garbage. Look, he's trash. It's like
those are the guys you want to go for.
And the dude hit 50, like 60 home runs his rookie year. Like, come on.
And one thing to love about the Mets, the new owner, Steve Cohen, he's worth like $17 billion. They're going to go out and they're going to spend money. Mm-hmm. They're going to build a good team. They already have a good offense. The pitching with healthy is probably easily top 5, if not higher. I mean, you got DeGrom, you got Syndergaard.
DeGrominator.
They're going to be a scary good team if they make some big moves and get some players. So one of my best friends, probably as big a baseball fan, if not bigger than me, big Mets fan, and he's saying they're potentially going to go and get Springer and JD Realmuto. So if you add those two guys to that team,
that'd be impressive.
Something to watch.
That lineup would be nice. I don't know, man. I'm very nervous for teams, you know, the amount of money that teams are going to spend in the offseason because of everything that's happened this year. It is obviously a year like never before, especially for baseball. And I'm just real worried that teams are going to be ultra conservative on their spending habits. We've already seen it. Obviously, Cardinals, like they let go Yachty, they let go Wainwright.
Yeah.
They let Colton Wong walk, which that was an option too. They had a team option and they let him go. Wow. So I think we're going to see that kind of across the board. I think it's going to be another thing where the owners are going to win the offseason, and it's going to put the players in a terrible position come time to renegotiate the collective bargaining agreement, because it's hard as the players to really argue. This is a perfect storm for the owners to really leverage, and it sucks because global pandemic, they're going to leverage that against the players, but you're 110% they're going to do that.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I think we're going to see a lot of maybe big name players that aren't going to get the contracts that we could expect.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we could definitely see like Bryce Harper's contract be the biggest for maybe a decade. Because, that was like the pinnacle, right? That was the mountaintop in terms of baseball contracts. And I think this could have like, this whole pandemic thing could have like long-lasting financial ramifications for the teams.
Definitely.
So it'll be interesting, though. I hope that, man, I just hope the Cardinals can do like the team. I looked at a projected lineup, and it looked so bad. I'm like, who? Like, this looks garbage. We got Goldschmidt, and that's the only person who can hit the ball 400 feet.
Oh man.
It'll be interesting too to see where Trevor Bauer lands.
Yeah.
I know that, we just talked about this a little bit, but him going to the Yankees seems like a no-go because of him and Garrett Cole aren't buddies. But do you think that has any effects on their card prices, like where they sign? Do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Especially with Cole, I think depending where he went, his prices might not as spiked as much as if him going to New York. I think if he went to some team that paid him a lot of money but really weren't, contenders to make it to the playoffs or make it to the World Series or even a big market, I think his card prices would not have shot up as much as they did with him going to a big market and definitely a playoff contender and possibly even a World Series contender.
Yeah.
So I think it definitely does play where they go, especially with Mookie Betts too. I think we saw a nice spike with his cards going to the Dodgers and like what happened with them winning the World Series.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Mookie's like, that's crazy too, because he went from a huge market to a huge market. So it like almost took him from here, like, which is all the way up here, and then propelled him even higher.
Yeah.
So.
And then for the football side of it, so I bought a couple of Le'Veon Bell's cards. So I was able to flip, I believe, 2 before the season started, and the other 3 were just sitting. And then I got word that he got traded. He got traded or he signed.
Released and then signed.
With KC. And I'm like, okay, I got to list these higher. I bumped them up like $30 each, and they sold in 2 days. I'm like, I couldn't sell these for $20 when I had them listed, and then they sell for $50 just because of the news.
Crazy.
So yeah, him going there was definitely a jolt in his prices. I'm like, I didn't want to even look to see what he was going to do there. I'm like, I'll take the profits.
Absolutely.
And kill with that.
Absolutely. That's actually, I'm glad you brought that up. Like, take the profits. That's something, I don't know if you get any DMs or any messages about, like, probably the most asked question is, when should I sell?
Yeah.
If you want to talk about that for a little bit, I personally think you should just get your money and get out, reinvest it into somebody who's a little bit more prolific of a star. But if you want to talk about that, go for it.
100% agree. So I'm big into spreadsheets, so I have all my cards when I buy them listed at the price, and then I pretty much have any of my variable costs when I kind of project them, like what my eBay fees are going to be, shipping, whatnot. So then I try to target like, hey, can I get 20%, 30% on this card? And that's kind of looking for like my exit strategy. So I look for a similar return on that, depending on the card. Like sometimes I'll even take like a 10% if I'm like, I think I just got this one wrong. Like I'd rather not wait for it to go up to 30-40% and just say, hey, even if I made a couple bucks on this, I'd rather bite the bullet, get a little bit out of it, and then take that and go look into someone else. So it really does depend on the player. And most of the guys I do buy, I'm a fan of. So it's kind of like I'm investing, but I'm also collecting. So even if I get stuck in a card, I'm like, all right, it's still cool. Like I enjoy it. Like I've always been a big collector. So this is something that I love doing. And it's not just about making an extra buck. Like, it's nice making an extra buck, but I honestly would love to be able to, buy and sell enough of these to kind of have those staple guys in my collection. Mm-hmm. So I have bought a couple of them so far. Right now, the number one is a Peyton Manning. So I don't even check it. Like, I don't care what the price is, because it's like, that's my guy. Like, I loved him, watching him. So I'm like, hey, I don't care if this car goes down $100, if it goes up $100, I don't check it, because it's a staple. It's a guy I want to have in my collection.
He's a legend.
But when it comes to guys that I'm like, all right, I enjoy him, but I'm up 20-30%, I kind of look to get it at that point.
Absolutely. I agree. Like, you hit the nail on the head, I think. You have an exit strategy, but also don't buy into players you don't like.
Yeah.
Like if you're a Yankees fan and you're sitting on like 30 Jose Altuves, like what are you doing?
No, wouldn't do it. No.
Like, no, man. That's the thing is like I was joking with Dakota from Cards Over Stocks. Like I'm not gonna buy into Chris Bryant's. I can't stand Chris Bryant. There's no way. You'll never hear. Look, guys, you'll never ever hear me talk about Chris Bryant and like suggesting he will never be in any of my top 5 videos.
Yeah.
Sorry, St. Louis is too boring for him, so I can't even talk about him here. But no, I think that's a good idea. Have an exit strategy. I think this last 6 months we've been spoiled, and a lot of new investors that are like coming from other places are seeing these like crazy spikes. 6,000% for Randy Arozarena. Like they're seeing that and they're thinking that's just like the normal.
Yeah.
No. You're gonna make your 20 or 30% and reinvest that into somebody else. Like maybe go go fishing, go find a trout, or Albert Pujols is a guy I've been preaching.
I would love to pick up one.
Yeah, I've got a Bowman PSA 9 that I bought before the season started for like 140, and last time I checked, they're closing in on 300. So
yeah, I was gonna say around 300.
But
that's
kind of like for you, like with Peyton Manning, I'm not checking that price every day.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna let that ride.
And he's one of the best ball players of all time. He's just iconic.
Yeah, he's a beast, and like we were talking about right before we went on, even at his age and his slump, like he's still hitting,
still knocking them in. Yeah,
still hitting 240, still hitting about 20 home runs a season. Like 240 is still
class
a productive
act too. That's what I like
player.
about him and Peyton Manning. They're both class acts. They just played the game right.
Exactly.
Say the right things. Just you enjoy following guys like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's good stuff, man. And this hobby, it's awesome. The community that, and I don't know, and we were kind of talking about this a little bit more. I don't know if it's the same because as a content creator, and I hate, whatever, but like I feel like the community, the 19 folks watching us right now, that makes it so much better.
Yeah.
Because like I felt like before I started making content, and I don't know, you can tell me if you agree, it's almost like you're a lone wolf. You're trying to find the deals, you're trying to, get value here, get value there, but like I don't know, it's just so much better in my opinion now that I started making videos. But
I agree. No, it's fun having people that talked about this stuff because my buddies, I'm pretty transparent. Like a lot of them will always ask me, what stocks you buying, like all that stuff, and I'll tell them. But then it's like I'm always like, dude, just listen to me. Like, hey, go up, look at these sports cards, they're blowing up, and they don't want to hear it. They don't care. But it's nice to get on this with you and talk about it. Like have people to connect with, have similar hobbies and interests. So that's what's really cool about it.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's the thing. Take your profits when you can. If it's not a perennial all-star, if it's not a LeBron James, a Kobe Bryant, a Michael Jordan, Peyton Manning, Albert Pujols, these kind of guys, you're not going to be making. It'll be the Bowl effect is once and a blue moon.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree. Take your profits when you can, and don't be afraid. One thing I know, you tell me, and you kind of said it here just recently, but whenever I buy a card, I'll just if I think it's going to be a middle of the ground kind of guy, I'll list it for what I expect to get from it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not necessarily what the market says it is, maybe a little bit more, and then always have that option, at least on eBay, option to make an offer.
I'm 100. That's exactly how I list mine too.
And then it's funny too, because if somebody starts performing crazily, like Luka, his optics, I bought 4 of his optics before the NBA season restarted, and I had them for 100, and then I started getting offers for 80. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to raise the price. And then I started getting offers for 100 and so on and so on up the chain. And I ended up selling them for $250. So
it's exactly how I do it. I do buy it nows with offers as well. And I price it similar as well, because then you can adjust it too.
Exactly.
Sometimes if you're kind of priced too high, you can lower that threshold. Or if you think you're priced too low, you can raise it depending on what the offers are coming in at.
Absolutely.
And it gives you a little flexibility with the offers too.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. I think when when I buy cards, I try and list them as quick as possible at the price point that I want to get for them. But
Yep,
also,
same.
have some wiggle room. Have some wiggle room because
Yep.
you're not always going to have that 2 a.m.
Yeah.
buyer. You know, maybe they've had a one too many and they hit that buy it now. Some people are just not going to be
Exactly.
able
And you
to.
could price your listing at say 45%, but your offer is listed below at 25.
Yeah,
So they think they're getting it, but you're still making money at that they offer listing price too.
exactly. Exactly. We got how much Halloween candy you eat today? None yet. None yet. What's up, Red Cape Sports? I know I haven't been talking to the chat too much. If you guys are enjoying the video, you're getting value out of it, make sure to hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Go subscribe over on Milone's website. And yeah, let's see. Curious of both of you for all the cards you sell, how much percentage-wise would you say you sell, buy it now, and how many are auctions? 100% buy it now. For me. What about for you?
I'm pretty close. I'm trying to think of which ones I did on auction. I bought two Saquon Barkley's. One was his Donruss, and then the other one was like a score, but it was a numbered out of 35 rookie auto.
Nice.
So it was very hard to price. So I listed it as an auction because there was hardly any sales history. So like
Sure.
something like that, I would probably go auction just because it was so limited. One, there's only 35 of them, and it was a PSA 10. So at that point, the pop report might have been 4 or 5. So it's very hard to really gauge with a car like that. So that's the one I did auction, but I would say majority everything else is pretty much buy it nows.
Yeah, and I see that's the thing too is I get numbered cards for my personal, but if I'm like trying to flip, I try and stay away from them just because you do have those issues with like how much is it worth? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
And you have to find that perfect buyer.
Mm-hmm.
So like and especially with baseball, it's nice to just I think Topps for the most part does a pretty good job at making the card look really good for their flagship sets. So I like getting just like the base PSA 10, and that's kind of like what I like going with.
Yeah.
I did sell a numbered out of 25 Bowman Glaber Torres. That was a nice one. I made like almost $150 profit on that, but that thing was sick. But mostly speaking, I like getting just like because the way I look at it, I want to have more buyers than versus something that's going to be more expensive.
Pretty much, I'm the same way. Most of my cards are all the base graded, of course, but Topps or Donruss, some optic, but that I go sometimes with those number cards, but majority are going to be the base rookie cards.
Yeah. So I guess short answer is majority of the time. If it's a card that has a decent population report and is bought and sold, every day basically, do a buy it now. There's a set price. There's a set market. You know who's going to buy that card. If it's a numbered card that doesn't have many sales,
it's
go for an auction because you definitely want to be able to maximize, and you might end up undercutting yourself if you do a buy it now. Because even though you think it's only worth this amount, there might be that crazy, football Giants fan that has to have that Saquon. But yeah, if you guys in the chat want to start firing off your questions, that was a really good one. I appreciate that question. LA Rams 23. I appreciate that. But if you guys have any questions for us, now's the time. It's we're getting towards the 45-minute mark. Gonna try and keep this thing about an hour long, so we can take about 15 minutes of questions if you guys have any.
Pull my phone so I can just see as well.
And then, of course, make sure to hit that like button, while you're here. But I don't know. In terms of, I'm looking at guys. What do you think about, the WNBA Prism came out recently?
I saw that.
And the cards are selling like
crazy
to reflect almost the exact prices of like Zion this time last year.
That's wild. That blows my mind. I wouldn't even thought to even look there. I've thought of other places, but that even crossed my mind. Yeah,
it's wild, man. I think that's all got to be investors though, right? Like, because at the end of the day, after you buy it from a hobby shop that sells on eBay, and then someone buys it from you who's an investor, and then that investor sells, and like all the way down, at the end of the day, the person who's going to have it is going to be either an investor that is stuck with the bag, or hopefully, in a better scenario, is an actual collector that wants the player and the card.
Yeah, that'd be the best case.
So with that WNBA stuff, I just can't see, and no disrespect or anything, but I just can't see them retaining their value.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's hard because we don't necessarily follow it either, so there's really no tie to it. It's just something I wouldn't even if it's like something that's making you money for that, I probably wouldn't get into it just because I'm not into it as like the standpoint of a fan.
Yeah, and I wouldn't even know.
Yeah, who to look
for. So Red Cape Sports asks, so I'll extend this question to you, but it says, what's your best card, best investment? I had a Christian Pulisic, so it's a soccer card actually. I bought it for like $15. It was a select. This was months ago. And I sold it for, I think, like $180.
Wow.
It was raw. But yeah, I mean, in terms of ROI, that's got to be one of them. I also bought a lot of Matt Chapman rookie cards. I think it was like 25. I might have gotten them for 50 or so. And I sold it. It included a gold one, like the Topps Update Gold.
Nice.
It had that in there, and I sold that one for $60. So.
And you still had 24
and
cards to work with.
I still have
but and you already made plenty of profit.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's nice.
Yeah, so what about you? What has been your, like, best flip, I guess?
Yeah, so on a ROI, I think it was a Saquon Barkley.
Nice.
I think I made a little bit over 200% on that one. His Donruss PSA 10 rookie, I think I picked up for like 30, and I flipped it at 100 or so, and then it went up a little bit more, and then of course the injury, his car prices are back down to around $40. So kind of happy I got out of that one. I might look to even buy some back at this price, but I think from a dollar standpoint, it was a Luka PSA 10 Donruss. I think I paid 200 and I sold it for 437. So that was the best total dollar return.
Amount, yeah.
Kind of wish I flipped it right when he beat them in game 1 or game 2 against the Clippers, and then right after they got exited, they went down from like $550, $600 to that $400 rate.
Man,
but it's hard to time, but
yeah, the basketball card market was wild. It went crazy. It went through the roof. And then like the day Giannis got named the MVP, his card dropped like 15%. Like what? So it's crazy, man. It's crazy. There's no rhyme or reason. No. The hype monster will get everybody in the end.
Yep.
So let's take a look. So I'm not sure about this one. I'm not too familiar. I don't really buy wax, but Ricardo asks, you feel buy it now is best for wax? I personally, if I'm buying like stuff, you see people buy the blasters and just flip them on Facebook and stuff. I think just setting a price that's comparable to market value, I think that's fine. But in terms of like older stuff, I honestly have no idea because I'm not in the vintage at all. I wouldn't even know where to tell you. But do you know anything about that or?
Yeah, I don't know much about the old wax boxes and pricing, but I agree. I would look at what's the previous sale history, what are they being sold at, and kind of go in the middle of anything with those two. Yeah,
hopefully do a little bit more than the most recent one.
Yeah.
In a perfect world as the seller. All right, cool. So next up we got LA Rams 23 asks, for example, if I have a 4 of 7 card, with no sale. Yeah, so so to answer that kind of off the back of our last one, just do an auction, I think is your best bet on something. If you have like a 1 of 1 or, I mean, set a minimum, but I would always set a reserve, I think. I know some buyers on eBay hate seeing reserves, but for a card like that, I think they got to understand. Like, you don't want to give it away for like $2.
No.
depending upon who it is. Eric Perry says steer clear of fads. WNBA cards are fads. Are a fad. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Eric. And how are you doing, man? I appreciate you hanging out. Eric's one of the long-time subscribers here on the channel, so I appreciate you hanging out. What about hockey investment? Hockey, I haven't thought about hockey since the St. Louis Blues looked like absolute garbage in the playoffs and won one single game in the bubble. And I bought and sold an Austin Matthews. I think I bought it for $300 and flipped it for like $550.
Nice.
PSA 10. But I mean, that's like my big one for hockey. Red Cape Sports does a lot of hockey content.
Yep.
So Cam, I would check them out if you're not already subscribed to them. Check out Red Cape Sports. They are pretty much, I mean, in terms of like financial side, I would say they're like the biggest channel on YouTube for hockey.
Yeah.
So I don't know too much about that, but do you know anything about hockey or?
A little bit. I actually did pick up a box from Target, like a retail box, when I knew I was going to be on Red Cape Sports. So I opened up with Mitch. So that was fun.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. I haven't knew any of the players, but I know a couple. I've been to a couple of Ranger games, so I do follow. And Alexis Lafreniere, he's supposed to be a stud. I know Mitch was super high on him. So that could be a cool guy to look into, maybe even find him in packs, rip a couple cards, see if he can pull one of his.
The hunt will be on for his young gun for sure.
Definitely.
He's going to be like the Zion, basically, of this year for basketball. He's going to be the Zion for hockey this coming season. I am a hockey fan. I am a Blues fan. But like here in the States, hockey, I feel like, is very regional, right?
Definitely.
Like I could not tell you the third line left winger for the Bruins. Like that's just not my... That's not what I don't know that. Sorry. But I know all the Blues players, and so.
I agree. Yeah, it's definitely very regional. You know your teams and maybe some of the stars. That's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, and then, Alexis Lafreniere. I mean, I was talking with Bird. He was on the channel just a couple days ago, actually, and he was saying how he's basically like the next Sidney Crosby. So that'll be awesome. I think his cards. And he was saying, I'm just kind of piggybacking off of what he said. Basically, if you can get him early, get him, because he is looking like the real deal McNeil. So we'll see. We'll see, though. Hopefully, no injuries happen. That's the thing, too, is when you're investing in a person, if they get injured or they have off-the-field issues or steroids for baseball, it can absolutely blow up your investment.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, Eric Perry says hockey's very undervalued. I tend to agree, but at the same time, I kind of think of it like if the entire hobby exploded over the last 6 months, back in like April and May when it was just absolutely nutty. If it didn't pop off then, like when is it really going to?
Yeah, that's a good point.
But at the same time, I mean, it would be nice.
Yeah.
I definitely bought into some young guns. I bought and sold a little bit. Like Braden Point was a guy that I bought several of and sold several of. But I don't know. I'm skeptical to really dig into too much of my budget into.
Yeah.
Definitely hyped up. Yeah. He's Lafreniere. Yeah, he's definitely hyped up.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully he does well and makes people a lot of money.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Prepping new bubble. Oh, so they're gonna do another bubble. So LA Rams says
for basketball.
Don't know if it's breaking news, but they're talking about doing another bubble for basketball. I guess with all the teams.
Yeah.
Man, that's rough. To go, 3 months without seeing your family and stuff, and then turn around 2 months. And be right back in the same boat.
Into it. Yeah, that's tough for sure.
It'll be interesting to see if some of the players will actually end up doing that, because if that was me, especially for, the Heat players and the Lakers players, like you just left Orlando.
Yeah.
You basically had time to unpack, have a sandwich, have a night with your family, and then you're on your way back.
Yeah, there's going to be some backlash for sure.
Gretzky cards have begun to take off like a rocket, says Eric. So that's good too. That's one thing I like to look at as well. If the player, if like the guy in the sport, so Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Wayne Gretzky for hockey, Manning and Brady for football, if their cards are starting to go up, that is a good sign for the rest of the hobby because or the rest of the sport in the hobby because, you know, rising ship, you know, rising tide raises all ships. So that's interesting. So I haven't been paying attention. That is a card that is far outside my budget.
Oh, yeah. Thousands.
The OPC Gretzky rookie card, man, that is a...
Like what, 280 or so probably? Like PSA 10
dude,
in that range? I
don't even know, but I know it's expensive. And I would wake up murdered if I bought a card like that expensive. So yeah, cool. This was awesome. If you guys have any last-minute questions, drop them down so we can get to them. But it is almost, we are closely approaching the end of this episode. Again, guys, hit that like button. And if you haven't yet, obviously go subscribe to Milone Money Mindset because he's bringing value on two different fronts. If you guys are in the hobby and want to learn more about stock investing, or, well, if you're here, you're not really into stock investing, but if you're listening to this, maybe you're from his channel, hit that subscribe button.
Appreciate it, man.
Nothing has been announced, but it looks that way. Oh, okay. So nothing
for the bubble.
We had a little bit of a, you know, maybe a false start penalty. We'll have to throw a flag on that one. Yeah, no luck. I'm not going to read that one out loud. Just, but yeah, guys, I appreciate you all. Where can everyone find you on the internet? You know, everybody's got their handles, their Twitch, their Twitter, their whatever, you know, where can everybody find you?
Yeah. So YouTube, Milone Money Mindset. I believe the Instagram and Twitter are a variation of that.
Sure.
I couldn't get the whole,
right. You have enough characters.
I think Instagram is Milone Money Mindset. I think Twitter's a little bit different, but they're all listed on my channel page in the About section. I have all those links as well.
Sure. Yeah, and you and I will be doing another live stream on your
Next
channel.
Thursday night. Yep.
So I'll be over on his channel. So if you guys want to, you know, check us out, I think it'll be next Thursday, right?
Yep.
Yep. So next Thursday, we're going to be doing the live stream over there. I'll be on his channel. We'll be talking different stuff. I'm sure you'll have some awesome topics for me.
Something up. Yep.
But yeah, guys, this has been fun, man. I definitely enjoyed doing this little
It was a lot
collaboration. Yeah. Let's see. Non-rookies are climbing. Oh wow! So even non-rookie Gretzky's are starting to climb. So that's it. No, that's a very good sign.
Yeah.
If you're a hockey card investor, and you know, obviously, I've never claimed to be an expert. I don't know. Like, the market decides the market. No one person or, you know, two people talking heads on the internet. No, but it'll be interesting, man. I'm excited for hockey. Hopefully the Blues can be good. And are you a Rangers fan then? Or are you an Islanders fan?
Rangers. I'm not like a crazy big hockey fan, but that would be the team I follow. My buddies are bigger fans, but I'm definitely baseball, football, 1 and 2, basketball, and then probably hockey. But then the Knicks stink, so maybe I'll take a switch over to hockey a little bit more this season with them being so bad.
Yeah, the Knicks have been rough.
God awful.
I mean, I literally can't remember when they were that good. Stephon Marbury days, maybe? Like, they were bad then, too, I
know. Yeah. They're tough to watch.
Awesome. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you guys are listening on the podcast app, like I said, make sure to give me a 5-star review. If you're thinking about giving anything else, just DM me on Twitter and tell me you hate my content. I don't know why you're watching, if that's the case, though, or listening, rather. If you're here on the YouTube channel right now in the live feed, hit that like button. It is so easy. It is just one little flick of the thumb, and it does so much for the growth of the channel, and it really helps out. If you're new here and you're just watching this crazy, you just kind of stumbled upon this in the YouTube rabbit hole, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, as I'm coming out with new content almost every single day here on the channel about sports and sports cards. I throw a little bit of sneaker and streetwear stuff here and there too, but I appreciate you guys. Join the Discord. There will be a link in the comments section. Join that. And yeah, I appreciate you all. Until next time, keep cracking packs, keep collecting. See y'all in the next one.
Later.